You don't feel alive? Díríb agus ri géad míle fáilte an maidin speisialta seo go sí an bhrú nó an ráintseach nua mar thugtar freisin itá site I gceart lár brún na bóine anseo a gundé na mí. Hello, céad míle fáilte, and you're all very, very welcome to this special live stream broadcast of the winter solstice from Newgrange here in Ireland's ancient east. My name is Máirt Trasany and I'm going to be coming to you live from Newgrange this morning on the shortest day of the year, meeting some of the wonderful people connected with Newgrange, hearing their stories and finding out more about this 5,000-year-old monument. And let's not forget, of course, the amazing spectacle that happens here on the shortest days of the year, where during the morning sunlight, the winter solstice sun shines directly into the chamber here, penetrates the roof box, illuminates the chamber and marks the end of winter and the beginning of new life. We expect the light to enter the chamber here in about 20 minutes or so. That, of course, is all weather dependent, but we will be bringing you live inside the chamber itself with live cameras set up inside the chamber so you can see and experience and witness this ancient phenomenon from yourself wherever you are watching it all over the world. And be sure to let us know where you're watching it from by using the hashtag Solstice 2017. Now, to give you a bit more background into the winter solstice itself, have a look at this.
Each year on December 21st, the sun reaches its lowest arc in the northern hemisphere's sky. This results in the shortest day of the year, an occasion celebrated as the sun's rebirth by Ireland's ancient astronomers. Incredibly, Newgrange pays homage to this annual event. Every morning on the winter solstice, sunlight floods its inner chamber. Step inside this ancient tomb and follow in the footsteps of those who built it 5,000 years ago.
Well, Luminous tá Leontia Lenihan on OPW. Leontia, who works with the Office of Public Works, works here on this site and is an expert on all things Newgrange. Leontia, tá míle fáilte Ruth Armad, and thanks for joining us. We understand you're a very busy woman this morning. Already, Leontia, there is an atmosphere of excitement and anticipation around Newgrange. Could you give us a bit of background into Newgrange itself and what you are expecting here this week?
Okay, well, for our visitors overseas or tuning in from overseas, Newgrange is located within a bend of the River Boyne in the county of Meath between the town of Drogheda and the village of Slane. A 5,000-year-old monument built in the Neolithic in the New Stone Age, primarily as a place of worship, a place of pilgrimage, also as a place of burial. Today again, very, very special. It's the 50th anniversary of Professor O'Kelly seeing the light in the chamber for the first time. He saw it in 1967 on this very day. Here this morning, as you can see, we have hundreds of people to join in the celebrations. We're also pleased to welcome the Irish Wolfhound Club of Ireland, and I noticed lots and lots of locals, lots of familiar faces out there among the group as well.
Yeah, there's a great atmosphere of celebration, as I said, here around Newgrange this morning, and it's all weather dependent, of course, but it's amazing that this ancient phenomenon went unknown until 50 years ago.
I mean, absolutely. The roof box that allows the sun to enter is just over the doorway here. Now, there's a carved lintel over that. That was always visible. No one entirely sure what was underneath. And in the second year of excavation, it was uncovered. And it was realised the monument was orientated south of east, that it would catch the rising sun on the shortest, darkest days of winter and light the monument inside.
We have live cameras set up inside the chamber this morning, which will give us an idea of what we might expect should the light break through the clouds on the horizon and come and penetrate the chamber. What could we expect to see through the light box?
Well, initially, when the sun rises at 8:54, and at that point we see nothing inside. We have to wait a further 4 minutes. It'll shine through the roof box, enter in along the latter part of the chamber floor. It's a very, very narrow needle of light. Then, as the sun gains sort of height in the sky, the ray of light will lengthen and widen across the chamber floor. It will remain in the passage until. So they remain in the chamber until 9:15. It will remain in the passage until approximately 9:30.
It's absolutely amazing, and the chamber itself seems very small. From the outside here, it's absolutely breathtaking how big this monument is, but the chamber can only fit a certain number of people.
Yeah, as we were discussing yesterday, 24 people is the most we can accommodate inside, comfortably. And this morning we're bringing in just about 20 lottery winners to share and enjoy the experience of Solstice.
What would this chamber would it be used for burials, or was it a place of worship?
It was definitely a place of worship, a place of pilgrimage, a place of gathering, a cathedral of the Stone Age. But we did find cremated remains inside, so obviously it was a place of burial as well. It was a house for the dead.
We just got a shot there of the spiral carvings inside the chamber itself. So visitors inside the chamber can witness and touch these carvings this morning while inside the chamber.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we have a number of carvings inside. As you mentioned, the tri-spire in the back recess, but the roof of the right-hand recess is beautifully decorated as well. So lots of gorgeous art inside.
The visitors, the lucky Solstice lottery winners who will get to witness this phenomenon from inside the chamber, what is their initial reaction like when they enter the chamber?
Wow. Wow, very emotional. People, they look deep inside, it's emotional, they're not quite sure what to think. Expectations are high. Now, we're not going to get the sun this morning, but nobody will leave that monument disappointed. Everybody will enjoy being inside. They'll enjoy waiting in the darkness for the light. They'll enjoy doing exactly what our ancestors did 5,000 years ago.
What is the perfect conditions for a clear winter solstice morning?
A cloudless sky. That's all we want, is a cloudless sky.
All we need, of course, is for the horizon to clear a small bit. We're still optimistic here this morning that that'll happen, because this is Ireland, and what we will see inside the chamber is, of course, weather dependent, but it is an ancient phenomenon. It is something that happened for the first time and was witnessed for the first time 5,000 years ago. The rediscovery then happened 50 years ago, and as you can tell by the number of people that have gathered here this morning, people are so interested in this special occasion, and there is a sense of peace and a sense of gathering around here this morning, Leontia.
Oh, absolutely. Look at this. I mean, no bigger pilgrimage could you get. I mean, all of these people have made their way here this morning.
Well, Leontia, thank you for joining us this morning. You're a very busy lady, so we're going to let you go now. If you're just joining us at home, we're coming to you live from Newgrange here in Ireland's ancient east for the winter solstice. We have live cameras set up inside the chamber itself, and we will be bringing you live inside the chamber in about 20 minutes or so, where we will hope to see the dawn sunlight penetrate through the roof box here and illuminate the chamber, marking the end of winter and the beginning of new life. Now, as Leontia mentioned there, the chamber itself is very small, and only a select few very lucky solstice lottery winners will get to witness this phenomenon from inside the chamber itself. And I have a few of those lottery winners with me now. Nora Lahan, the Chéad Fáilte Ruth, where have you come from today?
I'm originally from Cork, but I'm living in Dublin, and we came down, Maria and myself came down to Lismullen Conference Centre, which is just beside Tara Hill, and we stayed there last night. There's such excitement about being here. Part of the excitement for me is I've always been fascinated with Irish ancient history, and I must say, just even the fact of being here coming to Christmas, I'm a Catholic, and the whole thing of Advent and looking forward to Christmas and to Christ's birth, for me Christ is the light, and it's just amazing being here connected with our ancestors who didn't know anything about Christianity, and to be here today with people, I suppose, from all backgrounds, from all beliefs, and to be one of the people that's going to be in here looking at, no matter what the weather brings, I think the very fact of being here is so special.
Yes, you are one of the few very lucky Solstice lottery winners. How did it come about that you entered the lottery, or had you been entering for years?
Well, I came here with a group of friends, actually an international little group of friends. One was from Senegal, one was from Madrid, myself and another Irish person. We came here on an outing in October, and it was lashing rain all day. But we had a fantastic day here. We spent ages, we went in and looked at everything, and just it was such an atmosphere of telling people about it afterwards as well, and encouraging other people to come here. The last thing we expected was that we would have won a place to be here.
You must feel very special and very privileged, so to be finally here the morning of the winter solstice.
So privileged. And I'd just like to say that a friend of mine, her birthday is today, Evelyn. Happy birthday, Evelyn.
Evelyn.
And
my little brother, Moling, It's his birthday today.
Lábre has son a freshen.
He's a bit jealous.
And also, remembering the dead, today is the anniversary of a friend of mine also who died very young, about 23, and she was living here near Tara, Geraldine O'Connor, and today it's her anniversary.
Well, it's a beautiful way to remember her being here at Newgrange. Well, enjoy the experience of being inside the chamber and enjoy the rest of your day here.
Thank you
and luckily for Nora and the rest of the visitors here to Newgrange today, there are many number of things that you can do here in Ireland's ancient East. We'll be heading inside the chamber here very shortly. It is quite foggy here this morning, but we are hoping, we are optimistic that the light will break through the horizon and that we will see that thread of gold come through the chamber in a little while. But first of all, have a look at some of the wonderful things that you can enjoy and do and see all year round in Ireland's ancient East.
You may think you know the story of Ireland's ancient East. But it's a story of many plot twists, cliffhangers, and bigger-than-life characters. Of civilizations and barbarians, mythical creatures and divine beings. Of brave knights and damsels in distress. This isn't a story you'll find in a book. To truly understand it, you'll need to take a journey to unearth the footprints of the past. Find the hidden secrets in the great halls. Feel the emotion in the music. Hear tall tales from local storytellers. To uncover a story 5,000 years in the making, you need to start at the beginning. Ireland's ancient East. Go there and let the story unfold.
That is just a taster of some of the amazing things that you can see and do throughout the year here in Ireland's ancient East. And we're keeping it local now as I'm joined by Meath entrepreneur Olivia Duff. The Chéad Fáilte Ruth Dermod and Olivia. Gur míle maith a sochta Olivia, you're a woman of many talents. You wear many hats. Tell us about your day today.
Gurma, good morning. What a privilege to be here this morning. You couldn't bottle this atmosphere. It's just quite incredible. I'm based in Kells, I suppose known for another chapter of time, monastic site and home of the Book of Kells, but we're very much at one in the Boyne Valley. My family business is the Hetford Arms Hotel in Kells, so with my brother Vincent and our family, we itinerise great packages, experience-led packages for the visitor, the culturally curious coming to the Boyne Valley, wanting not just to discover amazing sites such as Newgrange, but also just the labyrinth of things that are to see in our area. I also represent Ireland as one of Ireland's food champions, so developing the concept of food tourism within the region, and last year Boyne Valley became foodie destination of Ireland, and just on the 21st of December I happen to be a free-range turkey and goose producer as well.
So you're quite busy this time of year,
right.
Olivia. Well, thank you for coming and joining us this morning. Yeah. The quality of food that we have on offer here in Ireland is a huge draw for visitors, especially in an area as rich in culture as Ireland's ancient East.
Absolutely. Well, I just plucked a piece of grass from Bruna Boynia just to say that this is what it's all about. This was here 5,000 years ago and it's still here today, and it's about that rich, green, lush landscape that we are so blessed to have here on the banks of the Boyne, and our food comes from that rich heritage that we have. We can prove that there was formal agricultural techniques here up to 2,500 years ago, which were just rediscovered in another part of the complex in Douth lately, and that's going to become a visitor experience as well. So this culture of great food and rich bounty not just came from our ancient mythology of the salmon of knowledge from the Boyne and those wonderful stories that we have to tell, but it's brought to life now just in the quality of our beef, of our dairy, and this amazing revolution that we have in Ireland at the moment of artisan and craft produce is just incredible.
the Boyne Valley itself, for visitors coming to the area, what can they see, experience and taste along the way?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, just to note is the Boyne Valley really starts about 25 minutes outside Dublin. So you would get here faster than crossing the city of Dublin. And when you enter the Boyne Valley, you're in a world of discovery that's all within a 1 hour circumference of dwell time. There's at least a week to be spent here for the culturally curious, for the great explorers, anything from coming to Newgrange to going to the other side in North Meath to see Lough Crew, which is just as old and is just quite a gem as well. The largest Anglo-Norman castle in Europe is, and of course the site of Braveheart is in Trim. Kells, we're very excited about the reopening of our visitor centre now in January, and we hope to really develop an amazing Kells experience and liaise with the Book of Kells experience in Trinity. And that is interwoven with an amazing food experience that we have. In the Boyne Valley Food Series, we've almost 100 businesses now working together to provide rich, immersive food experiences, which are bucket list things like foraging, be a farmer for a day, go on a food safari. And as the food writers and critics are just loving it at the moment, because they're saying food and heritage are just a marriage made in heaven, they go hand in hand.
Well, gur míle mágad Olivia, tá ocrasar me géisteach leat in shot Armad, and thanks for joining us. We're going live inside the chamber now, and we can see the lucky Solstice lottery winners are inside the chamber itself, and they are experiencing what the people who built this chamber and this monument experienced 5,000 years ago. And they are in there right now, and we are waiting for the sun to rise. We hope to see that glimmer of light shine through the light box later on, and we will be bringing you live inside the chamber in a little while. If you're just joining us, we're coming to you live from Newgrange here in Ireland's ancient East for the winter solstice, and be sure to let us know where you're watching us from by using the hashtag Solstice 2017. There's a great atmosphere. Loads of people have gathered here this morning from all over the world, but even closer to home, annual visitors to the winter solstice and to Newgrange every year are the Irish Wolfhound Club, and we had a chance to catch up with them yesterday.
The Irish Wolfhound is known as the kings of the canine race. They're one of the most ancient breeds in the world, and they're Ireland's most ancient breed. They've been very important to the Irish people. They're of this land and they're from this land. Newgrange itself is Ireland's most important ancient monument, and we believe our wolfhounds are a direct link to Ireland's ancient past. In fact, we would say they're the living heartbeat of Ireland's ancient East. This year we will form a guard of honour, and when the lucky lottery winners enter the tomb, they will be able to pass by a row of over 20 Irish wolfhounds. When you see them beside the monument at Newgrange, you know they belong there.
The Irish Wolfhounds have, of course, become synonymous now with the winter solstice and Newgrange. Now, we're checking in with the weather conditions at this morning to give us an idea of what we might see at sunrise. I've been informed that the perfect weather conditions are a cold and frosty morning with no fog, completely cloudless. Of course, we're not asking for much, this being Ireland, but all we need really is for that patch on the horizon to clear so that that single ray of light can break through, penetrate through the roof box here and illuminate the chamber. We're still optimistic here, as are the people that have gathered here to Newgrange this morning. And please let us know where you're watching us from. We are streaming all over the world by using the hashtag Solstice 2017. Now, to give us a bit more insight into the chamber itself, I'm now joined by archaeologists Dr. Anne Lynch and Geraldine Stout. Tá míle fáilte raibh Bert Armadin. Geraldine, I can see by the smile on your face that you're very excited to be here. Newgrange is very personal to you, Geraldine. You've been coming here every year for the past 25 years.
Yeah.
Why is it so special?
Well, I've been coming here. I just love to come here. This is my Christmas day. I'm kind of a Newgrange groupie, you know. And there's always such excitement and sense of anticipation, just waiting here in the morning chill for the clouds to part and the sun to come in. And I still get butterflies in my stomach every year I come here. you know. But what I love about this is the great annual gathering, and you know, you've got people coming from the local community, from four corners of Ireland, from Europe and the world, and they're all one community here, just waiting for to witness this great engineering feat at Newgrange. And I think that is what it's all about. It's all about the gathering of community, and you know, and this is what happened 5,000 years ago. You know, we catch up on what happened in their year, what their plans are for next year, new babies, you know, deaths, births and marriages, and you know, there's a great sense of community, and I just love coming here during the winter solstice.
Was it Newgrange that connected you to archaeology the very first day?
Well, I certainly started my apprenticeship here in the Boyne Valley. I came here as a student working on the excavations with Professor Ogan of the great megalithic tomb at Nouth. And you know, the Boyne has this way of just kind of biting you, you know, and keeping you here. So I've been coming back ever since, you know, getting to know the valley, surveying the valley, recording the valley, digging in the valley. You know, but the people are very much part of this area as well.
Building a structure of this magnitude and 5,000 years ago must have been some incredible feat.
It was a phenomenal feat. You have to remember, we're talking about the Stone Age. We're talking about people who had not yet discovered the use of metal. So when you think of the scale and complexity of Newgrange, it really is awe-inspiring. I mean, it's called a passage tomb, and of course, as that name implies, there's a long passage, it's almost 20 metres long, leading into the large chamber, which I'm sure your viewers will be able to see in other shots. All built without the use of mortar, just stones set upright, set on top of one another, the vaulted roof, the corbelled roof of the chamber, and then the entire tomb is covered by this enormous mound or cairn of stones, water-rolled stones, which must have been brought up from the River Boyne. I mean, just the effort is just phenomenal. And then the edge of the cairn is marked by a series of very, very massive stones or curbstones. Some of these were brought from as far away as near Carlingford in County Louth, and of course many of them are decorated with wonderful carvings. So, I mean, it's referred to, together with Nouth and Douth, other great tombs in the Boyne Valley, as a mega tomb, and it really is. And Professor O'Kelly, who excavated here in the 60s and 70s, and under whom I studied in UCC, he referred to them as the cathedrals of the megalithic religion, and I think that's really what we're looking at today.
Well, that was beautifully put. We'll catch up with you later on. There are visitors from all over the world gathered here this morning, and we're going to catch up with some of our visitors now who are waiting patiently here for the sun to rise. Who have we got here? What's your own name?
My name is Jasmine Fitzsimons. I came here because I'm here to remember my ancestors that came here before me, and to remember my nanny who passed away recently in the summer.
Well, that's lovely, Jasmine. And you brought a drum with you this morning as well.
Yeah.
Can you play a little bit for us? Wow. Well done. And why do you think Newgrange is so special, or why do you enjoy coming here?
Because it's really nice, and I get to remember my ancestors, and it's always the best for the ancestors' brains and hearts to grow in their beloved ones in here. And this is the place where they sleep in their tombs, in the sun and moon, in day and night.
Well, you are more knowledgeable than I am. It connects, of course, the earth and the sky, and it connects us with the past and the present as well. Who are you now, and where have you come from?
I'm Jasmine's dad, and we just came not too far away, just from Drogheda, just down the road.
And why do you think Newgrange is so special, and why have you brought Jasmine with you?
Well, we've been coming here a few years now, and maybe just to detach a bit from the mainstream goings on, and just to kind of bring it back to something a bit more peaceful and calm, and that you don't have to plug it in, it's just there, you know.
Would you be disappointed now if the sunrise didn't break through this morning, or do you still get a feeling of celebration, of gathering around Newgrange?
Oh no, we don't mind if the sun isn't here. It's just the journey here, and we had a good long walk. We had a mile walk to come here, and that's the more important. It's nice, like, you know, it doesn't matter about the sun. It's nice to be here with everybody else that's here to celebrate it. Like.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we're going to talk to a few other people here now. What's your own name?
Jimmy Milliken.
Where are you from, Jimmy?
Well, we've come from Ballycastle, County Antrim this morning, so...
A bit of a trek?
Yeah, we left home at 4:30, but, well, we've been to Newgrange before, but never for the Solstice, and it's something I've wanted to do for the last 40 years.
How does it feel now that you're finally here, Jimmy?
It's absolutely fantastic. It's a bit disappointing, perhaps, that, you know, the sun hasn't shone, but the atmosphere is brilliant.
The atmosphere certainly is amazing here. A sense of anticipation is building. Thanks so much for talking to us, Jimmy. We're waiting, of course, for the sunrise. We're waiting for that light to break through the horizon here and to enter the chamber a little shortly. I'm joined now by astrophysicist Tom. Tom, you're very welcome for joining us again this morning. Tell me, Tom, what inspired your love of astronomy the very first day?
I got interested in astronomy when I was 10 years old. I remember going out with my brother and seeing a meteor shower. And at that time, the lights of Dublin weren't as bad as they are now, and you could really see a beautiful dark sky. So that's what really inspired me.
An obsession with the sun, Tom, is something that has connected disparate global cultures for many years. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, the early people here were farmers, and so the sun was very important to them, and they would have recorded the position of the sun and how it moved through the year. So it was a pretty basic thing to do, to follow the motion of the sun.
Moving to the present day now, Tom, and moving to the chamber itself, how has the alignment on the roof box changed from when it was built 5,000 years ago, and what will the people inside the chamber see this morning compared to what they would have seen 5,000 years ago?
All right, well, back when Newgrange was built, I mean, we know when it was built from what's called carbon-14 dating, and using carbon-14 dating, we know it was about 5,000 years old. So we can then work out what the tilt of the Earth was back then. So most people would know that it's the tilt of the Earth that gives rise to the seasons. When the Earth, the northern hemisphere is pointed towards the sun, we have summer, and an opposite situation now. But what happened back then was the tilt was a little bit bigger than it is at the present. Now it's 23.5 degrees, then it was 24. Now the difference is the sun would have risen a little bit further south. In other words, the shortest day of the year was shorter, and equally the longest day of the year was a little bit longer. But it would have meant that the sun would have actually streamed into the chamber at sunrise. Now you've got to wait about 11 minutes, but it's perfect for them.
And once the sun enters the chamber, then it takes about 17 minutes altogether for it to illuminate the chamber. Would that be right?
Yeah, well, I mean, once it comes in, no, back then it would have actually produced a broad beam.
Okay.
And the difference from now as well, if you're actually in there, you see the light stops about a metre short of the back wall. But back then, it would have actually touched the back wall because you would have captured the sun right at sunrise. So it was that little bit lower. But as I say, now you've got to wait about 11 minutes after sunrise before it actually comes in. So it's changed, and it'll get worse over the next 20,000 years, but eventually in about 40,000 years' time, it'll be perfectly aligned again.
So we just have to hang around till then, Tom. No problem. Well, we're waiting, of course, for the sun to rise. We're going to have another look at the weather here now. As you can see, the umbrellas are out. It is quite misty and foggy here this morning. There are clouds in the sky. We've been told that the perfect morning is for a clear, cloudless sky, that a cold and foggy morning. We haven't got that so far this morning, but we are still hopeful and optimistic, and there is a sense of anticipation around Newgrange this morning, and it is a truly unique experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, especially for those lucky Solstice lottery winners who are inside and that can witness this phenomenon from inside the chamber. But you, of course, will be able to witness this phenomenon wherever you are watching all over the world, and be sure to let us know where you're watching from by using the hashtag Solstice 2017. Now, joining astrophysicist Dr. Tom Ray now, we have Anne and we have John Clark from the OPW, or the Office of Public Works. John, how optimistic are you for the weather and for the sun to come through now this morning? Come on, John, don't dampen our spirits.
We're always optimistic here at Newgrange and at Brunaboyne, and although in fairness, it looks a wee bit cloudy, a wee bit too misty today. But that won't dampen the spirits of the people inside the chamber, you know, because well, here in the Boyne Valley, everyone is involved in the preservation and maintenance and presentation of these structures. We feel a nervous excitement from the beginning of December, and that'll pass on to the lottery winners who are excited in their own way. So they'll be inside, they'll be anticipating and waiting and hoping that maybe in the next couple of minutes something might change. You know, and their first indication of that, of course, will be not the beam of light that enters through the roof box and up the passageway, but it'll be the cheer of the crowd outside here. So if we get that big cheer, I'm not saying we should cheer now. It might, you know, confuse them a wee bit on the inside. But yeah, but the hopes will be high and optimism. You know, we're always optimistic.
We're looking here at the sun hitting the side of the rocks here, or is that the sunlight coming through another way into the chamber?
Well, that's daylight. We'll always get an element of daylight that enters into the tomb, either via the door that we walk in or in through the roof box itself. Now, the daylight that reaches into the chamber, it gives that kind of bluey grey light across the floor. It's not sunlight, but it is something, and as a colleague of mine explained yesterday, I heard her saying, it was an indication that there is a change from night into day. So they will get that feeling that the monument has come alive to a certain degree, but it really is no comparison to the golden amber sun that we would hope to get.
Does the light penetrate through the chamber at any other time of the year?
Well, the daylight will always be in the chamber, but the sun itself, it's only for that particular, the winter solstice mornings, from the 18th to the 23rd. There are other alignments that take place too. We have an alignment with Venus that happens every 8 years. There's also some alignments with the moon every 18 years or something, but these things happen anyway. But it's the sun is the main concern for us. I suppose it's because we're from Ireland, we don't get a whole lot of it. So to even think that 5,000–6,000 years ago people were building buildings to house the sun, even if it was for only those 17 minutes, you know, well, maybe it was very important to realise that, the sun was still there.
Dr. Anne Lynch, you were an archaeologist who excavated this site. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the discoveries that were made?
Yes, well, there have been 2 phases of excavation here at Newgrange. The main excavation and restoration programme was carried out under Professor Michael J. O'Kelly in the 60s and 70s, a little bit before my time, but I was a student of O'Kelly, and it was he who introduced me to Newgrange. And he was so passionate about archaeology, really, I can really give him credit, for me going into archaeology as a profession. Then in the 1980s, because I work with the National Monument Service, who is responsible for the maintenance of the tomb, the back of the cairn or the mound was slipping very badly and was in a bad state of repair. So I was asked to excavate in advance of the conservation works and to find out what was happening at the back of the tomb. So what's very interesting is that we uncovered evidence for an earlier turf mound underneath this huge cairn of stones. It's something that Professor O'Kelly got a little glimpse of, but we exposed a lot more of it, and it's really quite intriguing. We don't know, is there another earlier tomb underneath the back of Newgrange, or was it part of the construction method for to give it kind of a solid base for the cairn? But what that turf mound did give us was a lot of information by analysing the pollen and the seeds in the well-preserved turfs. We were able to reconstruct the environment that was here at the time the tomb was built. We know, for example, that it was very damp and wet up here on top of the ridge. We know that there were fields of cereal cultivation in the locality. There was pastoralism, in other words, cattle were being grazed in the area, and there was some woodland. So my work at the back of the tomb, we didn't actually do any work within the chamber. But Professor O'Kelly's work in the chamber really has told us a little bit about the people. And again, coming back to one of his favourite exam questions was, Newgrange, a house for the dead, discuss. So obviously burial ritual had something to do with why it was built and how it was used. There were the remains of just 5 individuals recovered during the excavation, some cremated, some unburnt, but there were probably far more remains removed, over the centuries, because Newgrange was opened back around 1699 or 1700. But further analysis, ancient DNA testing is being done on some of these remains, so we are really still learning about Newgrange and the people who built it and who used it.
From the astronomy point of view, Tom, how significant is Newgrange?
Oh, it's very important. I mean, what's fantastic about Newgrange is the length of the passageway. I mean, it's 18 metres long, and this means it's precisely aligned with the sun. I mean, a problem with a lot of the other tombs is they're quite small, and so we're not exactly sure of where they were pointing, but this is very, very precise. And of course, it has this unique roof box above the entrance there, and that was clearly put there to actually line the monument up with the sun.
How does it compare to other monuments on a global scale?
Oh, in terms of, well, I mean, it's of course very ancient. I mean, it's older than the pyramids, and some people associate the pyramids with astronomical alignments. So it is much older, and it's even older than Stonehenge as well. And again, there's an astronomical alignment in the case of Stonehenge. So, but there are one or two sites which have been claimed to be astronomically aligned and are a little bit older, but this is certainly one of the oldest.
And it certainly is a one-off experience to be here and to be part of the winter solstice at Newgrange this morning. The reason we are not inside the chamber at the moment is because of the weather. We are looking here at the skies, still looking cloudy, still looking foggy. This is Ireland, of course, and what we see inside the chamber is weather dependent, but all we need is for the light to break through the horizon here so it can reach through the roof box and hit the chamber, illuminating the chamber, and we will hear the cheer, as John alluded to, from outside here and inside the chamber, I am sure, because it will mark the end of winter and the beginning of new life. But John, even if we don't get that single ray of light coming through the chamber, for the people who are inside the chamber now, experiencing what people experienced 5,000 years ago, what will they be feeling?
Well, as I said, there'll be a nervous anticipation. There'll be a sense of reflection, I would say, you know, because at the end of the day, it is the end of an old year, if you like, the last year, and the beginning of a new year, and that optimism that brings. And people will be looking forward to it, so they'll take a bit of time. Now, Leontia's in there, and she's kind of the custodian of the chamber for the solstice this morning, and she'll be explaining to them different things about the chamber and about what might happen, and I suppose taking their mind off the fact that maybe the sun hasn't appeared just yet. But it's also a very important day. It's 50 years since Professor O'Kelly witnessed the first solar alignment since prehistoric times in the structure, so to be in there on that particular day 50 years later is amazing. Now, obviously he had a better result so far than we had, but it's still a wonderful occasion, and it's a really wonderful thing to experience. Now, Leontia also told me a few years ago that they had a woman who broke into song during the solstice when there was
we had proposals yesterday.
Yes, she sang Silent Night, I think it was, and there wasn't a dry house in the or dry eye in the house, I should say, in the chamber. So you never know, we might even get a wee song or a bit of poetry or something, stuff like that.
I hear Tom has been warming up all morning, so you might break into song yourself. Yeah. Looking around, we're left with some fascinating puzzles and all around Newgrange itself. Can you tell us a bit about the diverse materials that were used at the time?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the actual monument of Newgrange is comprised of various materials. You can see the white quartz reconstructed wall behind us here. That was taken from probably someplace in County Wicklow. The curbstones, the very large curbstones, some of which are decorated there, a type of stone called greywacky, and that was brought from as far away as Clogherhead in County Louth. And the turves that are interspersed with some of the loose stone which was brought from the River Boyne, those turves are probably stripped from the fields that are down on the floodplain beside the River Boyne. So I think that the act of construction of something this large, which must have, you know, involved whole communities, the act of construction itself must have been symbolic, I think. You know, bringing materials from such distance, the quartz had some relevance to these people, you know, the carvings, the type of stone, it was very carefully designed, it was very carefully thought out. So they were quite a sophisticated people, even though they are Stone Age people.
Yes, what does it tell us about the people who built this at the time?
Oh, well, I mean, as Anne said, they were really sophisticated, and I think it's absolutely amazing. You have a cobbled roof in there that hasn't actually leaked in 5,000 years. I mean, that you won't get that sort of
You won't get it
today.
these days, no.
No, definitely not. And, you know, when it was excavated, there were actually channels along the passageway for draining the water away. So they were really good engineers, and they must have taken their time in defining where the solstice is, because by the way, I mean, solstice means standing sun, and so for a few days either side, as John has alluded to, it doesn't really make much of a difference. And we always celebrate here the solstice on the 21st, but it does occasionally occur on the 22nd.
Yes.
But we kind of tend to try and ignore that fact. It's just a leap year effect. So every 4 years it kind of moves into the 22nd. But we're celebrating Michael O'Kelly's discovery here, which occurred on the 21st. And he spent the night in the chamber waiting for the sun to come up.
Going back to the quartz itself, John, I was told that it holds some significance when it comes to reading the weather, that you can tell by looking at Newgrange early on in the morning if there's a hue shining on the quartz, that you can tell it's going to be a bright morning.
Oh yeah, well again, you would have to have a clear horizon, but as soon as the sun starts to appear, yeah, the quartz turns a lovely kind of golden orangey kind of colour. So you can see that for its choice, for its effect really, as much as anything else. But it's a stone that's associated throughout many cultures around the world with energy, and as it's used in technical devices, and also, you know, it's a surprise. If you walk into most graveyards in Ireland, you'll see quartz chippings on the graves, and we don't even think that's a Christian thing. That's probably a throwback really to our ancient ancestors and to what they
And
did.
is that the original stone that we are looking at here?
That is entirely the original stone. Nothing has been brought in. That is what was recovered by Professor O'Kelly, spread out here where we're now standing, collapsed in front of the entrance.
I'd say those stones could tell a few stories. Well, we're going to join some of our overseas and local visitors who have come to Newgrange this morning to celebrate the winter solstice. Hello, what's your own name?
My name is Sarah Maguire.
And where have you come from, Sarah?
Navan, County Meath.
So Sarah, tell me, what is it like being here this morning, and what do you know about Newgrange?
I know that people were buried in it, and it's over 5,000 years old, and it was built before the pyramids, and it's a really good atmosphere, and I just love coming every year.
I'd say you get an A+ in history class for all your knowledge on Newgrange. What is it like to be here this morning?
It's really cool because there's so much people, and it's really good.
And did you mind getting up early?
No.
Did you get the day off school, or do you have to go back to school later on?
I'm going back to school later on.
With all your knowledge on Newgrange, of course.
Yes.
Well, enjoy it. Who have we got here?
Emma Dardis.
And where have you come from, Emma?
I've come from around Navan as well.
And what do you know about Newgrange?
Well, I know that it's older than the pyramids, and it's just really great to be here today.
Is this your first time in Newgrange?
No, it's my third time.
Wow, you must really like it so if you keep coming back.
Yeah.
And what do you know about the winter solstice?
Well, I know that on the winter solstice, the sun is supposed to shine down into the chamber, and it lights it up, and it just... Yeah,
so we're still waiting for that sun to shine through, but it is Ireland.
Yeah,
we're well used to the weather here, aren't we?
Well used to it.
And are you enjoying it here this morning?
Yeah, it's really fun.
And why is it so special, do you think?
Because the atmosphere is great, and there's just so much people that come around from all over the world just to see it, and you get to meet loads of people, so yeah.
Well, enjoy the rest of the day. You might be able to sneak off school early, you never know. Well, enjoy Christmas as well. Hello, how are you? What's your own name?
I'm Rebecca.
And where are you from, Rebecca?
We're from County Antrim.
So you're the Druids that have brought the Wolfhounds, are you?
We're from the Wolfhound Club of Ireland, yeah.
And why are the Wolfhound Club associated or synonymous now with Newgrange?
Well, Irish Wolfhounds are the oldest dog breed in Ireland, and they've been associated with Newgrange for thousands of years. So.
And you bring the dogs with you every year, do you?
Yeah, well, we've been here this year, and we were here last year, but this year we're here for the anniversary.
And why do you think Newgrange is so special?
Well, Newgrange has an amazing atmosphere, especially in the winter solstice morning, and it's just such an ancient site for ancient Ireland.
Tell me about the clothes that you're wearing here this morning. They're absolutely beautiful.
Oh, we were just trying to recreate some of the feel of ancient Ireland, our cloaks, and part of the Irish Wolfhound Club. So
there's a real sense of celebration and gathering around here this morning. Do you enjoy meeting people from all walks of life?
Oh yeah, it's great, and that's what we try to do with the Irish Wolfhound Club of Ireland as well. Go around different sites that are associated with its ancient past and meet different people and introduce the hounds to them, and so yeah.
And have the hounds been inside the chamber?
No.
I don't think they'd quite fit.
No,
have you been inside the chamber yourselves?
No, we haven't, but I'd love to sometime in the future, definitely.
Are you disappointed that the sun hasn't come out yet this morning, or do you still feel that there is a special occasion around here?
Yeah, no, definitely the atmosphere is still here and everything. It's still a special occasion, and we don't really expect the sun in Ireland anyway. So
yes, aim low.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, enjoy the rest of your morning, and thanks for talking to us. Who have we got here? What's your own name?
I'm Kieran Maloney. I'm Chief Executive of the Irish Kennel Club. I'm here
Kieran,
this morning
you're
with
very welcome
the Irish
this
Wolfhound
morning.
Club of Ireland. Thanks very much.
Your dogs are very well behaved. I might get you to talk to my dog at home.
I think they're doing pretty good, to be fair to them now, in such a large group with strange people. They've been great, but they're a fabulous animal.
And speak to us a bit more about the connection that the Wolfhounds have now, because they are synonymous now with Newgrange and especially the winter solstice.
They are, and it's fabulous that they're here. It's the second year that they've been here. They're one of the native Irish breeds, possibly one of the oldest breeds of dog in the world, and I think they're quite relaxed here. I think they feel at home. So yeah, no, it's fantastic that they're here, and everybody seems to be enjoying them. They're very appealing to the children especially. So I think it brings an added bonus to the event and adds to the mysticism of the occasion.
Absolutely. And do you form a guard of honour as well with the dogs?
Yeah, the dogs form the guard of honour for the lucky lotto winners this morning, and I think one or two might have got distracted a little by the dogs, but it's understandable, particularly the pups, you know.
Yes.
But they're fabulous. It's great to be here.
And how special is Newgrange for you yourself, or the winter solstice especially?
Well, it's not the first time I've been to Newgrange. I actually only live in Bettystown, and I have been inside the chamber myself. It's a very popular destination when you have relatives visiting from overseas. So yeah, quite often when something is on your doorstep you don't appreciate it, but I've been here on quite a number of occasions, and it's on a nice day it's fabulous, but on any day it's fantastic.
And for people who are watching all over the world now, can you sum up the atmosphere here this morning, because it is quite special?
Oh, it's magical. It's magical, and there's a buzz and an atmosphere, and people come in hope of the sun, but they don't expect it. And as is always with the Irish, we make the best of it, whatever the weather.
You've summed it up perfectly, and we have one more person here with us. First of all, what is the name of this beautiful dog? Sean.
Shannon.
Shannon. Hello, Shannon.
He's 6 years old, and he's a wolfhound with the Irish Wolfhound Club, and we're delighted he's here with everyone else.
How many dogs do you have in the Irish Wolfhound Club?
Dogs, I couldn't tell you. We've around about 70 to 80 members worldwide,
yes,
from right across the island and right around the world. The total number of dogs, I couldn't begin to tell you.
And how many have you got with you here this morning?
Well, I believe we've 21 today. We were hoping for 21, and I think most of them have arrived.
How do you feel being here this morning? Is this your first time at the winter solstice?
No, I've been here last year as well.
Yeah.
It was actually our PR officer, Mary Potter, who first applied back to OPW to bring the wolfhounds here last year. And it was a very exciting thing for us, because all the wolfhound owners right around the world believe this is where the wolfhounds came from the Boyne Valley. So to come back here is just wonderful. We had, I think, 20 dogs here last year, and possibly it's 1,000 years since there was that many dogs here before for Solstice.
Wow.
It's that kind of history. We believe that the Irish Wolfhound is the living heartbeat of the ancient East. And whenever people come to Newgrange, they want to see the monument, touch the stones, and when they touch a wolfhound, an animal that was here at that time, it really touches their hearts, and you can see it in their faces.
Well, it certainly adds to the atmosphere, and well done. They're brilliantly behaved dogs. They're so calm and peaceful and very welcoming. They're beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Hello.
Hi,
how are you? What's your own name?
My name's Jamie.
And what's your name?
Gemma.
And where have you come from today?
We came from Dublin. We drove down at about 6 in the morning today to be here.
So you didn't have to travel too far though, Jamie?
No, it was like about an hour or something. It was good.
And is this your first time at Newgrange?
No, we've both been here before a few times. Well, it's my first time being here for the solstice though.
Yeah,
and what do you
think?
think?
Last, 4 years. So yeah, no, it's always good. There's always little mini ceremonies going around, so it's good.
There was a great moment earlier on when everyone was hanging out. It was good. It was great.
So why do you think it's so special here on the winter solstice morning?
Well, there's definitely a tangible magic in the air, and it's a very important day, and everyone all across the world is aware of the importance of it. So it's cool to be here and to experience it in person. You can feel the magic, you know.
And what do you hope to bring with you today, or why do you keep coming back?
I think it's because it's like the end of the darker days, so it's like the start of the summer today, because like the days are starting to get brighter, so it's like something to celebrate. So yeah, it's good.
It's for the optimists in us.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. We set our little wishes and our prayers on the way down, and are like what we hope to achieve next year and stuff. And so. Yeah.
And are you going to wait around and try to get into the chamber itself once the lottery Solstice winners?
We're group 5, so we've got a
We're
pretty good
group
chance.
6, then got group 5 because we befriended the man down there.
Oh,
so
nice, very smooth.
we're feeling positive about it.
And have you been inside the chamber itself before?
Yeah, we've both been inside it before a few times. So I'm kind of tall, so I have to do some interesting angles.
I was just going to ask, how did you manage to negotiate your way through?
Yeah, difficult, but.
And how does it feel being inside the chamber itself, standing where people stood 5,000 years ago?
It is incredible. Like, it's amazing. This place is just amazing, incredible.
Well, enjoy it and enjoy being inside the chamber. You might bump up to group 4 now.
Hopefully.
Oh, great. Thanks a million. Well, just giving you a weather update. It's still foggy here. There's a great atmosphere, but the weather is not great at the moment. As we can see here, we're waiting for the clouds to clear, for the fog to leave us, and for that sun to come shining through on the horizon and to enter that roof box. I have John, Anne and Tom with me here now again. John, for people who are just joining us, can you remind us again about what happens when the sun, we're going to say when, the sun breaks through at dawn?
Well, what happens, I suppose, it's roughly about 8:54 when the sun appears over the horizon. We get that golden ball starts to appear, and then around 2 minutes to 9, the sun enters through the roof box and will enter into the chamber. Now there will be a beam of light from the sun also entering up the passageway, but that light doesn't climb the passage. There's a 2 meter difference from the entrance into the chamber. So it's specifically the beam of light from the roof box, that deliberate fenestration that pours and floods the chamber with light. Then you will get a pencil width of light to begin with, and it spreads out to about a 17.5 centimetre band and reaches towards the end recess towards the right hand side. And it really is a fantastic thing to see. You know, have an element of movement, that the sun moves, it flickers as it moves across the floor. There's also that constant change of colour, the different shades of amber and gold. It really is a magnificent thing to see, and I'm very honoured, be very privileged to see it. And one of the privileges we have of working here is that we do get to see it from time to time. But for the guests and the visitors that are in there now, there will be an element of disappointment if the sun doesn't show in the next few minutes. There will be an element of disappointment, but that's what happens. You can't guarantee sunrise, or you can guarantee the sunrise, but you can't guarantee the lack of cloud. So you can't always get what you want, but as they say, you get what you need. So maybe they'll take something from the experience that will keep them going for the next year, maybe. And maybe, you never know, they might be lucky enough to get picked out twice.
Exactly. Tom, were you fortunate enough to experience the sunrise from inside the chamber?
Yes, many years ago. In fact, the first time I was in there, we were doing, Tim O'Brien and myself were doing measurements inside, and Charlie Haughey as Taoiseach then visited, and it was like this. But when he arrived, it was like Moses in the parting of the Red Sea. The clouds cleared, the sun shone perfectly in there for 17 minutes, and we had a wonderful display of the phenomena. So I've seen it once since then, and it is absolutely amazing. And what does happen is when the light hits the floor as well, it scatters the light, and so a lot of the artwork inside is then illuminated. So it's a very, very special place to be.
Speaking of the artwork, Anne, we see a lot of signs of Neolithic art around here. What are the typical features of Neolithic art?
Well, Neolithic or megalithic art, which is what we call the art on the megalithic tombs. In Ireland, it's an abstract art. So you're talking about circles, spirals, lozenges, zigzags, and even a type of doodles, compared to, for example, Brittany or other parts of Europe, where you have representation of human figures. We don't get that here in Ireland, which of course makes it much more difficult to try and understand what these carvings mean. And what's interesting as well is that during excavation we discovered that there are some carvings on the backs of the curbstones in areas that would never be exposed. So they have some sort of symbolic meaning in the carving, and then they were happy, the carvers, to have it covered up, and probably they would have thought never to be seen again, but exposed over 5,000 years later. So what the art means, really, I mean, we cannot know. This is over 5,000 years ago. These people, we cannot know what their intentions were when they were carving. We could, speculate that, it had something to do with perhaps astronomical events, or the sun or the moon, but really your guess is as good as mine. And I think that's the exciting thing as well. You can look at it and take what you want from it.
Is there some connection with the sun, or do we think with the spiral? Or is that just guesswork and probability again?
Again,
yeah. I mean, it's a bit like those sort of ink blot tests. People look at these and see what they want to see. However, I mean, I was somewhat convinced by one explanation for the spirals, which was, if you imagine as a Neolithic man or woman, you're looking out and you see the sun rise in the east and set in the west, and as it goes towards the solstice, it actually would rise and set further south. So if you think about that, it's basically a spiral pattern, and it winds in one direction, and at the solstice the whole thing reverses. So it's a bit like the opposite spirals here. Who knows? We don't have a manual. It's not like the ancient Egyptian monuments where you had the Rosetta Stone and so forth that helped us decipher what they were actually doing. We don't have that for this site, unfortunately.
And that adds, I suppose, to the mystery as well of it all. There are Neolithic monuments nearby at Nowth and Douth as well. For those who are unfamiliar with the area, John, can you tell us a little bit about Brúnaboinne itself?
Sure. Well, Brúnaboinne is a World Heritage Site, so it's a site that's appreciated and protected, for what it is, something that should be treasured by not only here in Ireland, but by everybody. So we have a multitude of sites and of monuments from different eras. Nowth, of course, which is not too far, about half a kilometre over to the west here, is the largest of these structures. So just think of Newgrange and a half of the size of Newgrange again. It's a massive, massive building. It's the largest passage tomb ever built, and it's also the most decorated. Now, I heard someone once say that this landscape could be described as the Vatican City of European megalithic culture. Well, if you describe it like that, Nowth is the Sistine Chapel. That's the way it is. You have over 300 of the 600 decorated stones are in and around that building. It's also surrounded by 18 smaller tombs, and we think that the majority of the smaller tombs are older than the larger tombs. So they were there first. So the site was a site of ritual, and then of course they included the large structure in the centre of it. But Douth, of course, over in the ridge, which is also a wee bit cloudy, we can't see Douth either. Douth has an alignment with sunset at the winter solstice. So this afternoon, if the sun clears, we might see something happen there. I should say that Nowth, at least symbolically, has an alignment with the spring and autumn equinox, sunrise and sunset. So these people all these years ago were dividing the year up, maybe making kind of calendars, because as we can see, well, the Irish weather doesn't really let you know what season it is. So it might be help. Now, in order to access these monuments, you need to go and visit through the visitor centre. Okay, since it became a World Heritage Site, and another celebration this year is 20 years the visitor centre is open since 1997. So you arrive there, and that's where your experience begins. We take you around, you go have a look around the museum, and then we set you up for a time to go either to Newgrange, Nowth, or both of those. So that can also be done online now too, which is a new system that's been brought in. So it make it easier for the visitor to determine exactly the time and hopefully reduce the waiting list, because we are still a very, very busy site.
And would Newgrange get most visitors out of all the sites and monuments around Ireland, do you think?
Oh, I don't think so, but we're well up there. I think the Rock of Casha maybe pips us, and I heard Summer Spike Island was the largest visited attraction last year, which is quite morbid, but anyway. But we're well up there. We're in the top 10 all the time, constantly, yeah. So we average at Newgrange, I'd say, and the centre and Nowth, I think we were over 220,000 visitors recently, and not all of them make it to the site. Some of them just stay and have a look around the visitor centre. But those numbers are increasing every year. 10% increase this year, and we hope for the same next year.
It's truly amazing when you look that this monument was built 5,000 years ago. I have to keep reminding myself that it was built so long ago. What would have been the difficulties of building a monument of this magnitude so long ago with no modern tools to help them?
Well, I suppose when you think of where the materials came from, transport is the first thing that, perhaps design. How do they set about choosing the location? I mean, it's not very visible today, but we're on a ridge here with a magnificent vista down over the Boyne. So having chosen their location, they had to design, and as Tom was saying, they had to set out their alignment, make sure it was accurate, and then decide which materials, find the materials, bring them to the site. I mean, transporting these sort of huge slabs behind us here for the curb from County Louth is you just wonder how they did it without, as you say, the use of metal tools. Everything was stone, wood. They would have had boats, very primitive boats, so we assume that they brought them probably down the coast and up the River Boyne, and then they had to get them from the Boyne up the hill to the top of the ridge. So it was a huge undertaking. Today it would be a huge undertaking, not to mind over 5,000 years ago. So it was a huge investment of labour. And when you think that this is only one of 3 massive tombs in this area, and now as we were refining the dating evidence from these tombs, we now know that Louth and Newgrange were constructed and in use at the same time. So, that adds to the, if you like, the importance, I suppose, ritual and ceremonial importance of this area. Dowth, we haven't done any really modern research on Dowth. It's being left for the future scientists to look at.
It is being called a passage tomb, and there are many, I suppose, theories about what or why they built it. Was it to connect the living society with the afterlife, or was it a place, do we think, of worship for generations past to come and worship and pray for their dead?
Again, I suppose because these people lived before written records, we can't be sure.
Yes.
But certainly, as I mentioned earlier, I think constructing it was important, and the act of construction, they were certainly associated with burial ritual, because in Louth, where there are 2 tombs under the main mound, they discovered the remains of over 200 people. So obviously there was some connection with burial ritual. Maybe these were the elite of the societies of the time, because certainly they weren't the entire communities of the time. There were the chosen few were allowed to be buried within these. So I think there was certainly a very strong burial ceremony and ritual. And then, of course, the solar alignments. Again, there must have been some sort of metaphysical symbolism lost in the mists of time, So really, we can only, again, from the material culture that's uncovered, and as I say, with further work on ancient DNA, for example, we might be able to discover were the elite groups, related to one another, used through centuries. If we're able to determine that there's a genetic link between people, then you might be able to get a little bit more insight into why they were built and how they were used. But there's still more work to be done.
And has the size of the chamber itself changed in any way from when it was built, do you think?
Well, some of the stones have obviously fallen inwards compared to when it was built. But, people worry about, could there have been an earthquake which shifted Newgrange around and so forth? It is perfectly aligned for 3,200 BC, so therefore the answer is no, right? And it's a 3-dimensional problem, and if you look at the mathematics and the probability of it, it's tiny that it was any sort of accident. So equally, there was no earthquake here that affected Newgrange.
We do have strange weather in Ireland, but earthquakes not so much. Well, just to let you know again that the reason we are not live inside the chamber at the moment is because of the weather, of course. The weather is foggy, is cloudy here in Newgrange this morning. It is Ireland, and the weather is one of the most unpredictable things we have here in Ireland. But the visitors, the lucky Solstice lottery winners, are still inside the chamber, and I'm sure enjoying the experience of being inside the chambers where people stood 5,000 years ago. And it is an ancient phenomenon to be enjoyed for everyone inside the chamber and for you at home as well. So be sure to let us know where you are watching us from by using the hashtag Solstice 2017. And of course, a reminder that you can come and visit Newgrange all year round, and you can book your tickets online for that as well. So be sure to come and visit Newgrange all year round. Only a select number of people get to go and experience the winter solstice from inside, but you you can come and visit it and experience and touch the walls that were built 5,000 years ago all year round. Well, I'm going to go and meet some of our other visitors who have come here this morning for the winter solstice. Hello, Kechi Wiltu. What's your own name and where have you come from?
Noel McCarroll, and we come from Drogheda, just nearby town.
And why have you come here this morning?
We come here every year. We've been coming here for the last 9 years probably. With my family, my other daughter's not here at the moment, but my wife and my daughter Rebecca. And we come here nearly, it's like the start of Christmas for us. And it's just a way of meeting people, and it's a way of kind of getting away from the fog of all of the tinsel and
well, there is fog here this morning, but a different kind of fog.
A different type of fog, the fog of tinsel and all of the Christmas lights. And it's just time to slow down, take stock, and then start again for the new year. Kind of re-energise ourselves from it's not just the sun. If the sun doesn't come, it's meeting people, and it's slowing down, taking time to reflect, thinking of the history of the past and what the people have done here and what they've left for us, you know, and we're the custodians now of the Boyne Valley, you know, and you know, it's that gathering together and that family meeting of and new people as well, strangers and old friends.
Strangers who become friends.
Have become friends, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And have you always been interested in Newgrange?
Yeah, always from a kid. Well, even when my wife and I met as teenagers, and we would have cycled around from the mouth of the Boyne up through Drogheda, and we didn't realise we were being soaked in the soup of all of the history, the ancient history, and all of the present history. And it's kind of when you come to Newgrange, we come out here, it was kind of, even then it was mystery. And all of the old stories you'd hear from a kid, all of the old, the Two of the Dannon and all that, was bringing it to life. You know, and you were making that connection, you know, and it's always been, it's in the DNA. Especially, I think, especially for everybody, anybody that comes here from all around the world, but particularly the people in the Boyne Valley. It's just in the DNA. It's in the landscape. It's not something that even that you might see. You can just feel it, feel the energy, you know, and feel the experience of it, you know.
And do you think it's even more special here on the winter solstice this morning?
Yeah, very special. I was lucky enough. I had a good friend, Emo, won a ticket for the 19th on Tuesday. And I got a phone call on Friday, and Emo said, "No, would you be me +1?" Because you know, and I was just so privileged. And you know, we went out here on the 19th. Okay, the sun didn't shine, but as I explained it, we got the daylight coming in, so we got it in black and white. And we didn't get it. We didn't get it in 3D or HD. We got it in black and white.
Yeah, but everyone who comes out of the chamber, no one seems disappointed or heartbroken that the sun hasn't broken through.
You know, our tour guide Nicola, who's lovely. Nicola said to us at the end of it, she says, "Well, just, you know, whenever you want to go, just let me know." And somebody had said to us, "Nicola, you better tell us when to go because nobody's going." You know, because everybody was just loving the space that we were in and feeling the energy, and it was a fantastic experience, something I'll never forget.
And you're passing your love of Newgrange on to the next generation now. Rebecca is your own name, is it?
Yeah, it is.
And Rebecca, why is Newgrange special, do you think, or do you enjoy coming here?
I do enjoy coming here because we always go as a family as like a tradition, and it's kind of the start of Christmas for us. It just kind of starts it off.
And do you get a feeling this morning that, you know, people are disappointed that the sun hasn't broken through, or is there a sense of excitement and celebration around?
Oh no, like the atmosphere is just like great, like because like even if the sun doesn't shine through, like everyone is still like gathered together at Newgrange, so it's not.
And you didn't mind getting up extra early this morning?
Well, just a little bit, but it was fine when I was like up and ready.
You might get off school early today.
Oh yeah.
I make Christmas pudding every year, and I you know, for my family, but I always take a small amount out here because there's one girl, Sylvia, and it's her birthday today, and she comes here every year, so she came looking for me today for a piece of Christmas
so
pudding.
You're the Christmas pudding man now.
Well, I think there's a few people I think starting that tradition as well, but I come and I share maybe with strangers or some friends, and we just have a bit of Geraldine that comes here, the archaeologist, she looks for a piece as well, so I gave her a piece earlier on, and it's just a bit of crack. But it's also just it's a way of sharing, which I'm sure the people did here as well in celebration. So it's a way of hopefully carrying on that tradition, you know.
Well, I might come find you later on.
There's two pieces left.
For the bit of Christmas pudding. Mind that for me,
Thanks
Rebecca. Thank you very much. Who have we got here? What's your own name?
Maria O'Toole.
And Maria, where have you come from this morning?
Dublin.
And why have you decided to come here on the winter solstice?
Because it's my birthday today, and it's Kieran's birthday.
Happy birthday, son of Kieran.
Thank you.
We're not twins.
And this is my girlfriend, by the way, so I hope my wife is not watching.
And why do you come here, Kieran?
I just find it very mystical. You know, I just like the atmosphere. People are very friendly, it's very warm, and it also because it's my birthday, I feel in some sort of an attachment to it.
What better way to celebrate your birthday than
yes.
on the winter solstice? And have you been coming here for many years?
Yes, I've come here several years. I try to come every year, but I'm just sorry I never got inside. We put in the lotto tickets every year, but it never comes out. You know, so it'd be something
Maybe
special.
this year.
Maybe, hopefully, yeah.
But it really is a look at the draw that the Lucky Solstice lottery winners get to go and experience the winter solstice inside. But you can visit the chamber. Have you been inside the chamber on other days of the year?
Most certainly, yeah. And we're just waiting to go in. As soon as the people come out, we'll go in as well. You know.
And what do you feel when you're inside there?
You feel some sort of an identity with like 5,000 years ago, that you try to imagine yourself, the people that came in and what it was like and what they were thinking, and the whole structure, the purpose of the structure and whatever else, you know. So you sort of feel that attachment or identification with it.
And what about for yourself, Maria?
It's just a special day for me to be here on my birthday. Kieran suggested I come with him, and it's lovely. We took part in the sun worship dance there, but it didn't work. It didn't come up.
We didn't get the sun.
But we did try.
But the dancing was great.
The dancing and the singing was lovely, yeah. Special, yeah.
Well, enjoy the rest of your morning and the rest of your birthday. Lábre Honigam Vertsag Elite. Hi, how are you? What's your own name and where have you come from?
My name is Alfonso.
And where have you come from, Alfonso?
She's Alba.
Hi, Alba. Hello.
We're from Galicia, a Celtic country in northern Spain.
Wow. And have you come all this way, especially for the winter solstice?
No, we are living here.
You're living here?
We are living here in Ireland.
And why did you decide to move to Ireland?
Oh, that's a very good question. For a lot of different reasons. One is the wonderful background that Ireland has, well, wonderful heritage. Yeah, we are. Our field basically is heritage management, so we love it.
So you must be really interested in Newgrange.
Oh, definitely, yeah. We came here quite early, but it was still already very, very full. So.
And why do you think Newgrange is so special? The monument itself, and then, of course, the winter solstice.
Why it's so special? I'm not sure, but there is definitely a kind of different atmosphere here. Like a kind of energy that makes everything really.
The Celtic culture too. Yes, I think so.
And is there anything similar or like Newgrange in your own country?
Kind of, yeah. Probably there are some. We have a lot of also dolmens and stone circles and so on, but nothing that big.
Nothing like that, obviously.
And have you been inside the chamber yourself?
No. No, not
No,
at
you've
all.
never been inside. Are you planning on entering the chamber today?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hopefully shortly.
Very shortly, yeah. We're waiting for the lottery winners to come out. They don't seem to want to leave yet.
All right.
How would you say winter solstice before I let you go in Spanish?
Well, we speak Galician. It's another
Galician,
language.
oh yes.
Solsticio de invierno.
Wow. Did you say that again?
Solsticio de invierno.
I won't repeat it because I'll probably make a hames of it.
I can say in Galician, you can say in Irish for me.
I don't know what it is in Irish actually. I have to go and look that up.
So solsticio
Solsticio
de invierno.
De invierno. Mila mahagi and enjoy the morning.
Thank you.
We'll head up back here to Anne, Tom and John again. So as we heard there, no one seems heartbroken that the sun hasn't broken through. There's a real sense of atmosphere and celebration still around here, and the lottery winners don't seem to want to leave the chamber inside. They must be feeling very special, very privileged to be in there today, John.
Well, yeah, I think they are, and everyone that stands inside the chamber, even people that just come on a regular tour, will feel that kind of sense of wonder when they go inside the chamber. But particularly on the mornings of the solstice, and even though it's disappointing and the sun didn't shine, but the spirits are high and people are communicating. Something we see when we look inside it, we can see a more modern phenomenon now, of course, with people with their mobile phones, and it's the one chance of the year that they get a chance to actually take a photograph inside Newgrange, which is something that if you like, the general public aren't allowed to do during the year. So that's another special retreat for the something to keep them happy. They get a picture of the tri-spiral maybe, or one or two other symbols. I think it's also important to remember that Newgrange perhaps it was meant to be in darkness for 360 days of the year. So, you know, the artwork that's in there is only visible when the light shines and the sun shines in. So to be able to get to see it with electric light is a bonus, I suppose, at the end of it. It's not there, but it's a bonus. And to get a photograph of that and to be able to treasure that memory forever.
Well, we saw our lottery Solstice winners inside the chamber there with their phones taking a few pictures, which means the lights will be turning on in the chamber with modern electricity, of course, very, very shortly. And as I said, nobody seems to want to leave the chamber. They're feeling very special, very privileged to be inside the chamber here this morning on the morning of the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. But you, of course, at home or wherever you are watching us from, can come and visit Newgrange all year round, and you can book your tickets online, and we're going to have a look now to find out how. So you can come and visit Newgrange here in Ireland's ancient East throughout the whole year. So you can book your tickets online, and be sure to do that now, as we heard from all the visitors who are from Ireland and who have come from all around the world here this morning. They really are enjoying the atmosphere and the sense of magic and peace and gathering that is around Newgrange this morning. And I'm still joined by Dr. Tom Ray, by Dr. Anne Lynch and by John Clark from the OPW, or the Office of Public Works. John, for people who have just tuned in and are hoping to see the winter solstice sun break through, is it looking unlikely at this point?
I think we've gone beyond unlikely now at this stage. Yeah, it's too much. Unfortunately, it just wasn't to be the last couple of days, and it's sod's law, really, isn't it? That you think you go through all this trouble in Ireland's ancient East and it doesn't appear. But that's just really the way it is. That's the luck of the draw. So it's not just a lottery for the people inside, but for everybody outside as well. And of course, Neolithic people, our ancestors, they weren't guaranteed a sunny morning every morning, but I'd say that didn't dampen the party for them either.
Exactly, and it doesn't seem to be dampening spirits here this morning as well. Just to recap again, Anne, can you give us a background, an overview again of Newgrange itself, on what we expect here on the morning of the winter solstice if we had had a bright morning?
Well, as John said, Newgrange, this is the peak of its year, I suppose, the 21st of December, the winter solstice, and the sun being directed through the roof box into the chamber must have been, the raison d'etre really for the construction of this massive monument. There are other elements to it as well. It's a multi-layered monument, but the solar alignment, I think, must have been central to the efforts of these people. So it meant an awful lot to them, and we don't know who would have had the privilege to be in the chamber 5,000 years ago on the winter solstice. Maybe it was the tribal leaders marking the changing of the seasons and the beginning of a new agricultural cycle or agricultural year. I presume it had some very, very strong significance for them, and as well perhaps during the rest of the year there would have been burial rituals and other rituals taking place around the outside of the monument, because the carvings on the stones, on the curbstones, they kind of suggest that perhaps procession around the monument would also have been important, a bit like the stations or the rounds that are done today on Christian sites. So perhaps there was something like that here as well.
The obsession with the sun, as we spoke about earlier, Tom, is something that has connected global disparate cultures for years. And being here today and over the past few days, having people come here, there clearly is still an obsession with the sun.
Absolutely, yeah. And I always think today is the day for the optimists in the world, because from today, or at least the optimists in the Northern Hemisphere, I'll qualify that. From today, the days start to lengthen, and the world is divided into those who think the glass is half full and half empty, and this is definitely the day for those who think the glass is half full. And over the next couple of weeks now, we'll start to really notice a lengthening in the day. I mean, back then it must have been so absolutely important to them as well to mark it in such a way. And when you consider the population at the time was so small in comparison. I mean, in Ireland now there's about 4.5 million people, but back then it was much, much smaller. And so to make the effort to build monuments like this at the time was enormous. So it was very important to them. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly the sort of the religious element of it, but you know, perhaps in time we'll get the Rosetta Stone for Newgrange and discover exactly what they were up to.
There'll be a notebook left somewhere in there.
Exactly.
Carved in stone. This is what happened here. Well, as we can see, the lights are turned on in the chamber now, and the Winter Lottery Solstice winners are inside, enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying being inside. What will they take with them from today, John?
Oh, well, an experience that they should never forget. And, you know, as we keep harping on, we keep saying it, but it is such a wonderful privilege to be here at this time of year and to be able to stand in. And Tom said that you know, the importance it meant to people 5,000 years ago, and the size, its construction, the roof box, and the trouble of the light getting in and piercing into the chamber. And we don't know who was inside. It might have been, you know, a select few. Everybody else maybe gathered like we did this morning outside to see what's happening. But those people in there, they've had that chance, and it didn't work out for them. That's unfortunate, but it's still a great achievement. It's a great thing to say. I mean, I'm sure they'll be telling their grandkids, some people in many years to come, that they were in Newgrange for the 21st, 50 years after Professor O'Kelly first witnessed the solar alignment since prehistoric times. So it's a special day, regardless whether the sun shines or not.
Absolutely, and we're going to leave it for that this morning. Míle buchas le John, le Anne, le Tom, agus le chulaguna Evelyn in Shaw Armaden. That's it from Newgrange here, She Unvrú in Shaw in Ireland's ancient East. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't on our side here this morning. We didn't get that single ray of light breaking through the chamber, illuminating the chamber and marking the end of winter and the start of new light. But we got a sense of excitement, of magic, of gathering, of community here this morning. An event that was first celebrated 5,000 years ago and rediscovered 50 years ago. Today is the anniversary of that rediscovery, and it's so special to be here this morning with all these people gathered around, and we hope we managed to bring you some of that excitement, that peace and that magic wherever you're watching us from all over the world. And be sure to let us know where you have been watching us from this morning using the hashtag Solstice 2017. And remember, there are any number of things to do here in Ireland's ancient East all year round. Newgrange is just one of them. Be sure to check out the website to discover a history of ancients and legends, stories from ancient times to modern day, and be sure to come and visit Ireland in Ireland's ancient East. Sinead Wenya and Shaw Armaden, Tasulan Gwanchub Tanya Vasan Madden special to Shaw. Thank you so much for joining us. Gadeen Chédarella Wenya Erfad and Shaw Slánagi.